Okay, so I'm happy to present the Slice Biaxe. So if you're not familiar with Timur's Biaxe, uh, it's this puzzle here. So it has two axes, and there are several cuts done to completely unbandage it, and that's all nice. So what you can do, what I noticed is, well, we could have it rotate around these corners if we slice it right down the middle. And that's the first thing I did. I took essentially just the mechanism for the Slice Biaxe, and I cut it right down the middle, like that. Um, as you can see, this went through several designs and redesigns. We can see what's wrong with the first one. It works. It does work, but it has problems. It's just not stable. Uh, it's a little hard to turn. It's better if you grip the whole thing, but it worked, but I wasn't too pleased with it. In fact, you can see how unstable it is. If I just pull on this a little bit, this edge will come right out. And if the camera will focus, you can see there's really not much holding it in there, and this is kind of pushing the limits of that. So this took a redesign. I made it bigger. The first reason I made it bigger is because I had to add an extra layer for things to hook in. So the main thing is these edges, there's really nothing holding them in. So I added, in the larger versions, these are quite small pieces. In the later designs, it has a piece that will hook in to the core. And that meant there are two layers of these wings that help pieces hook into place. So if we take a look at this, the redesign, let's set that aside. These corners are held into the core first, and then those corners hold in these edge pieces, and then this star is held in at the last layer. And this made it a whole lot more stable, but I also made the design a lot larger, and I made some mistakes on the core. This one you can disassemble like that. Well, I didn't expect it to explode, but I wasn't too pleased with that design either. So it took another redesign or two, and this is pretty much it. And after this design, I made a few more changes just to make it easier to print, more consistent, and get better tolerances on the puzzle. So let's look at the final version. This is the final version. So it turns nicely. These centers will not come out. In fact, it's very hard to actually assemble and disassemble this puzzle. Really, the only way are these two screws, which will allow half of this piece to come out and pull pieces out. But it's very stable. It turns great. I mean, it's not going to corner cut. There's no springs or tensioning that you can do just because of the design of the puzzle. In fact, speaking of the design, let's take a look at this. Essentially, you have a ball core and you have centerpieces that need to hook into there, and you can see even with just one, that's not going to come out. So that's in there very well. And this wing here that is really attached to the core, what I was able to do there, and this was a trick to both get it to print better and to make it easier to print and make it easier to assemble, is the ball core has this little hook where I can hook that in, and this is the part where you have to screw it in. This is the last step when assembling it. This screws into there, and really this could be a single solid piece, but trying to get this to print correctly just was going to be a pain. So splitting it up makes it print very well. Okay, so I hope this is interesting to everybody. I have yet to scramble it. This is probably very difficult. I mean, the slice turn, you're adding a turn that moves half the parts. Speaking of which, what does the slice turn add? Of course, if you turn it so that these match up, we can rotate that and do the same on the other side and come back, which does something interesting. On the original Biaxe, you can never take this edge and bring it back here flipped around. There's no way to do that. Well, with the edges split, you can split the edge in half and recombine it with it flipped around. And also the centers can be moved around. So you can see there are colored centers here that don't belong. So this is definitely adding something very different to the Biaxe that you wouldn't have to worry about with the original Biaxe. So this design, this final design, is available on Etsy for $75. So since it's a smaller puzzle, it's a lot easier to produce. I should say these are all printed in PLA with like 0.1 millimeter layer heights, and I've been fairly pleased with the quality. So I think I'll leave things there for now. I don't want to mix this one up because this one is posted, and I don't want to have to take it apart and reassemble it solved if somebody buys it. So, hope everybody likes this. And check out the Etsy store. It's being sold through Royal Fluff Minis. Okay.